This week's Look at Local Sports sponsored by 315 Local Bakery and Diner, Alexandria Bay.
Hi, folks. Welcome to our modest little podcast. Mel Bussler, Rob Crone, and there's only one sponsor brave enough to bring you this podcast. That's 315 Local Bakery and Diner in Alexandria Bay. Great food, great setting. I mean, it's right on the St. Lawrence. So check them out. Right on the main drag as you drive into Alexandria Bay down near the waterfront. Check it out, 315 Local Bakery and Diner.
They do a lot with us in sports. I believe they also sponsor our sports picture too as well.
They do. Yes, they do. And that started up, and we're getting a lot of pictures in, which is pretty neat.
Yeah.
This otherwise, especially like younger kids that are playing minor sports, little league, stuff like that, they probably wouldn't get the recognition that they're getting through this normally. So it's working out great, and keep sending those pictures in.
Yeah, I know little league and t-ball season just getting into full swing. So
yeah, or Uncle Fred who's playing senior softball. Bocce. We'll even take bocce shots. As of this recording, we have softball and girls lacrosse for sectionals, the seeds for those.
Yeah.
For some reason, the baseball and boys lacrosse, it's taken a while to put those things together. We haven't gotten a copy of them yet.
No. At
the time of the recording. Weather played a big part this year in the schedule, so maybe that's having something to do with the lateness of getting those other brackets out.
Yeah, we are recording on Thursday, so I know maybe there were a lot of games Wednesday being made up because I think Wednesday was the absolute last day of the regular season before sectional started. So,
well, I tell you what, it's great that we're putting the ladies in the spotlight.
Yeah,
they deserved it. Having a great year, both on the lacrosse field and softball, and we'll begin with girls lacrosse and Watertown High School.
Yeah, Watertown taking on the winner of Whitesboro Central Square Thursday, May 29th, 6 p.m. at Watertown. That's going to be a semifinal game, and the Cyclones are the top seed in Class B.
Yeah, we were talking about that. I don't know how many teams they have in that particular class. But Watertown has played great lacrosse throughout the season, led by Olivia Machutek and the rest of the group there. So it'll be interesting to see how far they go. But they got a home game to open up that bracket.
Yeah, and if they win that, they move right on to the championship game, which I believe is at SUNY Cortland. So good chance for them to make it to the championships in Class B.
How about a Class C battle, Frontier League matchup, huh?
Little flavor here.
Yeah, Indian River and Carthage.
Yeah, that's Tuesday at 5:30 in Philadelphia. Indian River, number 4 seed, Carthage, the number 5 seed, and that should be a good contest. These teams know each other very well. They've met a few times this season, and should be a very good game.
Yeah, and Indian River's been an interesting team. We thought that they may have taken just a little bit of a dip this year, because we're used to them being a real strong team. It seems like they've got their act together late in the season.
Yeah, and don't sleep on Carthage either, because I was out there on Saturday when they played CBA, and I believe they were up 5-1 on CBA early on. Ended up losing that game 14-11. But Sean Gorman's got his team playing pretty well as they head into sectional play. That's why that should be a great contest.
If you're going to put your money on one team to go far in the postseason, it's got to be the number 1 seed in Class D, South Jefferson. You had a chance to talk with Jen. I'm sure she's excited to get the postseason underway.
They are excited, but they're also focused as well. They know it's one game at a time now, and if you lose, you're done. But I'll tell you what, South Jeff playing their best lacrosse, I feel, right now of the season, because on Saturday they came away with a huge win against a team who is nationally ranked. They traveled to Victor and beat Victor 14-12. So that's a big win and a big momentum boost for them heading into sectional play.
Yeah, I had a chance to see Victor play Watertown earlier in the season, and they pretty much dominated Watertown. Victor did. So that really speaks something of the quality of South Jefferson to be able to knock off a team like that.
And that's the one thing with South Jeff, year in and year out. Jen Williams, non-league schedule, she stacks it up with some of the toughest opponents you can find in the state because she wants her team ready when it comes to be this time of the season when it's sectionals and state playoff action.
Also in Class D, the fifth seed, General Brown in action against Marcellus. That game at Marcellus Tuesday night. Lady Lions, what do you think?
Yeah, they've had an up and down season as well. You know, they've played some good lacrosse and they've stumbled a little bit as well. It's always tough to win on the road, especially in sectional play. But you know, who knows?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the lacrosse shakes out. We move to softball, and the 10th seed Indian River against the 7th seed West Hill. That game scheduled for Friday, and once again we're telling you the games where we think they're going to be played, when they're going to be played. So much of it is dependent on the weather, and it's supposed to be a wet few days in this area.
Yeah, and you know. Jamie Call, 10th seed, Indian River, going down to West Hill. That's going to be another tough matchup, and it's going to be another tough test for Indian River as well. And as you said, the weather, you know, outside, it's raining right now. It almost feels like it's fall instead of spring. Yeah. So, you know, who knows if they don't get these games in with it being Memorial Day weekend, are they going to make them up on Saturday? Are they going to make them up on Monday? You don't know.
Yeah, it could be a busy weekend on the diamond trying to get games in over the next few days. A team that's come on late in the season, who's playing very good softball right now, and it's really no surprise because he has a great program. Steve Randall's South Jefferson Spartans team, and they're in action coming up as the number 6 seed.
Yeah, in Class A, and they're playing 3 seed Jamesville DeWitt. That game tentatively scheduled for Saturday at 1 p.m. at JD, and they're led by Brianna Morahan, who you did as an athlete of the week. Steve Randall sent a text a couple weeks ago. He's like, hey, you know, she's doing pretty good. And you looked at her batting average. She was hitting 640 at the time.
Yeah, no,
640.
Tremendous. And he always has a good team, and they kind of stumbled out of the block to begin the season, but they have pieced together a bunch of wins in a row, and are heading into sectionals at probably at just the right time as far as playing good softball.
Yeah, and what he said to me at the beginning of the season, he's got a relatively young team. You know, he lost Colleen Davis from last year, who was their starting pitcher, who I believe is at Brockport now, and I believe she threw a no-hitter a couple weeks ago at Brockport. So, you know, and he's got an 8th grader on the mound now that he's relying on, so it's a young team. And like you said, they're starting to play some pretty good softball right now, and they could be a force to be reckoned with.
We move to Class B, and Lowville in action, taking on 12th seed Phoenix. That game scheduled for Lowville Friday afternoon. The good part about playing in Lowville, the turf field, which will help them out.
And Lowville with a huge win this season against Sandy Creek. Yeah. You know, Sandy Creek's tough to beat no matter what class you're playing. And Lowville knocked off Sandy Creek. That's their marquee win of the season. And, you know, the Red Raiders playing some good softball right now, looking to make a run in the postseason.
Yeah, and I think the score was 4-2. So, I mean, it was a low-scoring affair, but the Red Raiders able to pull out the victory against a very strong Sandy Creek team.
Yep.
3rd seed General Brown against number 14 Canastota. That game 5 o'clock Friday, scheduled for Glen Park. Your thoughts about the Lions?
Lions always tough to beat at home. I mean, they always play well at home. You know, I expect them to win that game and move on, and they could make some noise in the postseason because they're another team that's playing very well right now, and some great coaching as well. Lindsey Hansen.
Well, Sandy Creek, we just talked about them, how strong they are. They'll be playing the winner of Tully and Bishop Grimes. That game Friday, and they have a home contest, which you would expect because they're a big seed.
They are a big seed, and they're always a big team to knock out in the postseason. And you know, playing Sandy Creek at home, if you go to that facility to play them, they always draw well. A lot of fans there, and they are very tough, if not impossible, to beat at home.
You know, we were talking a few weeks ago about schools and association with different sports and how that one sport seems to do well softball always seemed to do well at Sandy Creek.
Yeah. Pat McDougal and Bill Fowler, you know, it's just,
over the years.
And Coach Soluri now, it just rolls right on. I believe Coach Soluri is a former Sandy Creek player as well. So, you know, they keep it in the family and they keep that tradition going. And Sandy Creek, one of the premier softball programs, not only in Section 3, but in the state.
You know, a team that's had a real good year and it kind of flew under the radar a little bit, Beaver River. The Beaver River softball team doing well. They're seeded 4th. They have a home game against Fabius Pompey scheduled for Friday at 5 o'clock.
Always fun to go out to Beaver River and watch them play softball out there. The field out there, great little place to watch games. And, you know, against Fabius Pompey, expect them to win, expect them to move on. I expect them to be a force in sectional play as well, along with the next team we're going to be talking about who, you know, they got that sister act, pitcher catcher.
They got the sister act, Mel and Tatum Wiley. Mel, of course, the pitcher, Tatum the catcher, and Thousand Islands with a home game scheduled for Friday.
Coach Scott Lalone has them playing well once again this year, and you know, it says a lot about all these teams that we've been talking about with the high seeds, the quality of teams that they've played this year, the wins they have. You know, a lot of Frontier League teams having great seasons this year and looking to continue it into the postseason, and TI, one of those teams.
Well, 11th seed South Louis has a tough game coming up. They have to go on the road to Cato Meridian for a contest. Falcons hoping to fly high on the road, but they're going to have a tough test.
Yeah, they're going to have their hands full against 6th seed Cato Meridian.
Alrighty, Class D. We've got the 9th seed Lafargeville against number 8 Oriskany. That game in Oriskany. It's a battle of 8 and 9 seeds. That game scheduled for Friday at 5 o'clock. Your thoughts?
And, you know, those games are usually the most interesting ones when you have 8 and 9 seeds so close together. Even though one team has the home field advantage, I mean, they're pretty even on paper. So game could go either way. I mean, you know, Lafargeville could go down there and win the game.
Remember the year, what was it, and they've had a couple of good years, I guess, Lafargeville under Danielle Wallace, where they just, they kind of went through through the section.
Yeah, the Johnson girl, I believe, was the pitcher for them. Yeah,
phenomenal
pitcher.
Phenomenal because she was pitching with the. She used just the one arm.
One arm, yes.
And then would slip the glove on.
And field. It reminded you of Jim Abbott.
It really did. I mean, she was fun.
A great athlete.
She was fun to watch, and she had that down. You scratch your head wondering how she was able to do that with just having the one arm. But
and she was a great athlete.
Great athlete, exceptional. Copenhagen. How about Copenhagen winning the Frontier League title the other night against Sackett's Harbor? This is a matchup of Frontier League teams against Belleville Henderson at Copenhagen, another turf field, which is good news for those two teams. They should be able to get that game in Friday.
Yeah, and you know, Copenhagen, as you said, winning the Frontier League championship against Sackett's Harbor. Sackett's Harbor, don't forget, I think I'm correct on this, is the defending Section 3 Class D softball champs. That's huge for Copenhagen. And, you know, Copenhagen's softball program has struggled the last couple of seasons, but good for them. Playing great softball this season and back on the uptick and one of the teams to contend in Class D this year.
Yeah, and you know, no gimme for Sackett's Harbor. Coming up.
No.
They're going to play Alexandria, who's had a very good season.
And we told the people who sponsor us at 315.
That's right. They should be happy.
Yeah, we're going to talk Alexandria softball. And the Purple Ghosts have had a phenomenal season. And I believe the way that the Frontier League shook out this year, as I believe it was like Class D and C schools played each other several times this year. So, you know, it hasn't been a cakewalk for Alexandria. They've been playing the Class C schools like Thousand Islands, Beaver River, and South Louis. And, you know, they've had a tremendous season so far. That should be a great contest against number 4 Sackett's Harbor. Coach Dan Green looking to repeat as Section 3 Class D champs this year.
You know, I've been here for my whole life. You've been here for
a lot.
You're pretty much a native in the North Country too. Have you ever seen weather in the spring be as bad as it's been this year as far as trying to get games in. The temperature, except for a couple of days of warmth.
Yeah.
They basically, it's been, like you say, it feels more like fall than it does spring.
Yeah, it is crazy. And, I know that they have certain contingencies built into sectional play, not only in Section 3, but Section 10 as well, because we talked to our guy up north who shoots a lot of the sports for us, Bob LaRue.
Yeah, Bob.
And there were games scheduled for today, which I think are still going on. But as he said to us, he goes, if they don't play on Thursday, they got to decide, are they going to play Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday, maybe Monday? So, there are contingency plans built in, but you rarely see teams have to, watch the weather the way that it's been the last couple weeks to see if, they're going to have to do that, because you could have some games conceivably taking place this coming Sunday or on Memorial Day.
Yeah, the weather's been bad, but there's been one person who's been our ray of sunshine. That's Ashley Seabolt behind the controls. Recording this modest podcast for you. She's done a tremendous job all season long. And we're going to have one more get-together next week. And then we're going to take a little summer break with the podcast. And then we'll be back. Believe it or not, before you know it, we'll be talking high school football.
And it's crazy because we talk high school football in July because you have the passing camps, you've got the football camps. So you get a couple weeks where school's over with, the end of June, the beginning of July, and then you start hearing the whispers, hey, we got a passing camp going on. We got a camp going on here. And, you got teams like General Brown, you got OFA, all Indian River, all getting ready for the football season. So it's getting close.
The coaches are dedicated. Players are certainly dedicated. Ashley Seabolt is dedicated. Thanks for your work once again today, Ashley. We appreciate it. And also special thanks to 315 Local Bakery and Diner in Alexandria Bay. Great food. Nice place to visit.
The chicken and waffles.
The chicken and waffles, I recommend. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week.